Hello from Japan. This will be short and sweet. Japan will be severely impacted by what's unfolding if it continues in the direction that it's going, as will most of the world, even people that think that they won't. What is unfolding is actually what I've been publishing for years, and it's a very similar scenario, actually extremely similar. But before we keep going, I'm losing a lot of subscribers, by the way. Interestingly, right at the time when people need the information the most, the funding is going down dramatically. Probably a coincidence. I don't know, but this is quite interesting. I've been attacked recently more and more by Zionists and very publicly. In any case, subscribers are going down. If you want to subscribe, please do it. It's free. Just on Substack, just hit the subscription button. Actually, you can subscribe for free and get that for free, but I would prefer that you actually pay if you can. If you can't pay, it's going to be free anyway because the information is too important to hoard. It's very important that people get this information. Now, Masako and I were just in Europe and other parts of Asia for about 4 months. We were in Taiwan. Then we were with Catherine Austin Fitts for more than a month in Netherlands. Then we were in Sweden, and we were with David Webb and some others who we are not naming at this point. And then we went to Norway to meet with a maritime expert there. Then, actually, I skipped one. We went to Germany. We went to Hamburg, Germany, and we were looking at Hamburg because that's the biggest harbor in Germany, and it's the third largest in Europe. So we're looking at routes and resources. Anyway, we finished off the trip in Denmark. Why? Because Denmark, Maersk, Danish Straits, right? Maersk Shipping Company, I'm sure you've seen it in the news a lot lately due to the Panama Canals and Suez Canals issues, but I'll skip past the details, irrelevant at this point. But we were at the Danish Strait because that's one of the major choke points in the world, like Panama. But now the Strait of Hormuz, the situation that I've warned about for years, explicitly, just like this, the Strait of Hormuz can be closed off. And if that happens, pay attention to the other chokeholds, such as Panama, which is running at maximum capacity right now, 40 ships a day. Less than about a week ago, I think about a week ago now, they tried to put 41 through and couldn't quite do it. They didn't have enough tugboats, and there was another problem. Anyway, the details don't matter. But at the end of the day, Panama Canal is now saturated too. There's ships anchored off, waiting to go in line. Anyway, to go through the canal because people are rerouting. Strait of Hormuz. Now, I've warned about global famine since 2020. It's clearly coming to pass. I see a lot of people doing big analysis that clearly their paradigms and how they're looking at the situation in almost every single case is fundamentally flawed to the point where whatever they're saying and however smart they are, they're destined to be, they're just rolling the dice on what happens. Most people still seem to think that this is something to do with, anyway, let's get down to the point. Clearly, there are creatures creating global famines. I've warned about that for years. That's how we successfully predicted Groningen gas field being closed. Let's say Nord Stream being closed, screwworms coming back. So many things we've successfully predicted with that paradigm and 24-karat input information. And I've warned so many times, if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, there's a high chance it's not actually closed by the Iranians, no matter what's being said, that it's actually closed by the beast who's doing this, of which the Iranians may be a subcomponent of the globalist architecture. I mean, they were involved in the COVID lockdown, so there's that. But they still have some independent agency as well. In any case, the Strait of Hormuz is not really closed by the Iranians. They're letting some ships go through, but you see now Americans have talked about and Zionists are talking about many Zionists are Americans. They're talking about the potential mines that Iran could seed through the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, with a bomb threat, you can close airports and schools, and these kinds of things have probably been done thousands of times over the years. In the United States, I'm guessing it happens hundreds of times per year. I think a major airport was shut in the last week or so, right? Was it in Oklahoma or Kansas or someplace? A major airport in the United States was closed due to a bomb threat. I mean, these things are normal. They happen all the time. And you can close entire You can close, Strait of Malacca with a bomb threat. You can close the Danish Strait or the Kiel Canal or Rotterdam or Antwerp. You could close any of these places with the threat of just a bomb threat that there's sea mines there. Now, keep in mind, these sea mines are quite sophisticated. They can lay on the bottom of the ocean. You don't need ships to lay them. You can do it by rocket. You can drop them from the air. You can you can release them by submarines and all sorts of, and they can just lay on the bottom until they pick up the acoustic signature of the ship that they want to go for, and then they take off and go get it, torpedo style, right? In any case, I've been warning for years about intentional global famine. I think by now the average person sees that it's going down, and we've seen the reduction of nitrogenous fertilizer supplies. You see the as the Strait of Hormuz is now effectively closed due to insurance or whatever reasons, it's closed. So fertilizer's not flowing out, food is not flowing in. I know people that are rushing to get out of the Middle East now who work there. Like one was messaging to me. I've been providing him with advice, which has been helpful. It's helped him get out. And he's punching out now with his family. But huge numbers of people that actually operate the Middle East. Keep in mind, all of those countries are artificial constructs, just like Israel, just like Panama. Republic of Panama was an artificial construct that we opened on November 3rd, 1903, so we could create the Panama Canal. We created Panama from thin air. It was a part of an area that Colombia had claimed, right? Likewise, whether it's with Israel or that we've talked about many times, or the Gulf states, those are all artificial constructs that were made to control that region, the energy flow and whatnot. Most of the workers there are actually Americans, British, Filipinos, Indonesians, Nepalese, Bangladeshis. Those are the people working across the Gulf states, and they're leaving as fast as they can because, as you know, drones and rockets are raining down there, and infrastructure is being hit. Probably a matter of time until considerable desalination goes offline. In any case, the energy is being turned out, and that is, for our intents and purposes, permanent, which means a global reduction in food supply. Let's just skip to the bottom line. This will affect severely countries like Pakistan, India. I warned Mark Abhisit, former Prime Minister of Thailand, maybe 4 or so years ago. I flew over from the UK to see him, or Ireland, wherever I was at, and asked him to meet. I wrote the last 2 pages of his book, The Simple Truth, actually. So, I mean, I have, I can pick up the phone and meet with him. So I flew in to meet with him, and we talked about what happens if the Bosphorus, the Turkish Straits gets closed, if Suez gets closed, if Strait of Hormuz gets closed. Thailand will not have enough nitrogenous fertilizers. This will severely affect Thailand because Thailand, although producing massive amounts of food, requires massive amounts of fertilizer, which it only creates at that time maybe 8% of its nitrogenous fertilizers, right? If my memory is accurate. So they were importing about 92%. They could be shut off. Now, how does that affect other places? Well, Thailand exports a lot of food. Here in Japan, I've been warning people for years. If you see the Strait of Hormuz get closed, you get food right now. Prod the logistics chain. Go ahead, buy up as much as you can get right now. It's not hoarding because you're prodding the supply chain while it's still open and active. So now's the time to prod it, because later on, if you prod it, it's going to be a lot more expensive, or it's not going to be there. We're going to probably reach the point where it's not there. That's why I went to Thailand. Like, for instance, when Japan has food problems, who do they rely on? They're going to be able to rely on places like Thailand. But Thailand is also shut off from those nitrogenous fertilizer. Not just Thailand. This is global. This is systemic, right? I warned Abhisit. I said, listen, if there is a global famine, it's going to affect Pakistan. I mean, if the Strait of Hormuz and, say, and the Turkish Straits are closed, Pakistan's going to get hit right in the stomach, and India's going to get hit in the head. And I've reconned that route from India through Bangladesh, through Myanmar, through the Chicken Neck and all that, through Bangladesh, and then over to Myanmar, and then you're in Thailand. It's a straight shot. I mean, there's highways, right? I mean, I've gone and looked. I mean, so you're talking Thailand could be overrun with Indians and Pakistanis and anybody else that needs food, because that's how this goes in real life. And I remember Mark said, no, Myanmar won't let them come in. I'm like, I don't know. I've been studying famine for a long time, and I can assure you the chances that Myanmar will let them into Thailand are extremely high. In fact, why would they keep them in Myanmar eating their food when they can just pass them through to Thailand? That's not how this works, right? They're going to go to where the food is. Human osmotic pressure, the push and pull of migration. Already, many Israelis are going to Thailand. They go to Pai, smoking a lot of dope up there. You've probably seen a lot of the controversial videos of Israelis in Pai, and they're wearing out their welcome there. And they're also taking over an island called Koh Tao. I've been to it before. Koh Tao is strategically located, by the way. We'll save that for another time. These analysis I keep seeing, I'm looking at a lot of analysis from big names, and most of them don't seem to understand actually what's going on. They seem to think that something's going on that's not. Their paradigms are off, right? There's clearly, I haven't seen any of them talking about, or except people like Mike Adams and David Dubine. They get it. Some get it like that. But they're not the major mainstream, let's say, market people. The people, I'm not talking about CNBC and all that crap. I don't watch those. But I'm talking about people who study, energy markets, people who study metals markets, or stock markets and all this sorts of stuff. Those, almost to a man and a woman, they don't understand what's going on. They're clearly working with paradigms that are going to be surprising to their bottom lines. The only people that seem to see that this is actually a setup and is in service to global famine. Keep in mind, this is a shaping operation. What you're seeing now is a shaping operation. The death jab is a shaping operation for depopulation and control, right? Knocking out Nord Stream, knocking out Groningen, knocking out the screw worms coming in, and chicken farms burning down, and so many other things going on. These are what's called shaping operations, creating conditions on the battlefield that will benefit the commander later, right? So all these other shaping operations, reducing the global nitrogenous fertilizer supply and other energy sources like Nord Stream, those have been shaping operations building up to the drums right now. Hormuz is closed. That is your big boy. Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, Panama Canal, where I've spent so much time saying how important it is, and it is. Panama Canal is absolutely vital to the United States and a lot of people. However, Strait of Hormuz is like a cluster. It's like a rope of Panama canals. I mean, it's if Panama Canal was a piece of parachute cord, the Strait of Hormuz is like a rope. I mean, it's really that important. And I've been saying from the beginning, I think that they're going to close it. They're destroying the Gulf states, of course, and probably actually Israel itself. And as a sort of a sacrifice, as a casus belli to expand this thing, because it's not about Israel. It's not about America. It's not about Iran. It's not about any of that stuff. It's about global population reduction, control of the remnant. For instance, rolling out the digital money that Catherine Austin Fitts and so many others, David Webb, Chris Martenson. How many people have warned about this? I mean, serious people like the ones I just mentioned. They've been mentioning it for years. I mean, not mentioning it. They've been beating the table and screaming at the skies. And because that all, the Bitcoin and all this stuff that's been unfolded over the years, those are also part of shaping operations, right? And so it's taken a long time to get this all in place. And now this is it. I mean, this is the Super Bowl. Strait of Hormuz is closed. You see these attacks on the ships and, ideas that, Iran is doing it. What evidence do we have that Iran's doing that? Actually, Iran would want to keep it open more than they would want to close it. Now, there are statements that Iran is letting their buddies like China go through. Meanwhile, our government is saying, Iran may have mined it or may mine the Strait of Hormuz. But even if so, even if they mine the Strait of Hormuz, just immediately follow those Chinese ships that Why don't we just follow the path behind a Chinese ship that Iranians are allowing to go through there, right? I mean, you can do that, right? You can at least, and you keep hearing Trump and the other clowns like Hegseth saying, we have the greatest military in the world. But you can't keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Okay, the little tiny Strait of Hormuz, you can't keep that open. Why? Why can't you keep that open if we got the greatest show on earth, right? Maybe you don't want to. Maybe that's why this is happening in the beginning, is to close the Strait of Hormuz, either to cause Iran to do it, or we just, if Iran doesn't do it, we'll do it for them and say Iran did it, right? And again, look at Israel waving the sword at Turkey. That is clearly setting the information battle space to close the Bosphorus, the Turkish Straits. Keep in mind, look up fertilizer, production and distribution that goes through, or there's no production through Bosphorus, but Ukrainian and Russian fertilizer flows through there at a high rate. So this is why I've been warning about the Turkish Strait for a long time. If Strait of Hormuz is closed, which it is effectively closed, and then you're looking at Bab el-Mandeb, Suez, of course, Strait of Malacca, Turkish Strait, Strait of Gibraltar, Danish Strait. We're looking at Panama Canal, of course. If they start closing these others down, hit the subscribe button and pay me as much as you can, because I need to be flying around a lot more than I am. Because this is, although we spend a lot of time on the road, I would be spending a lot more time if there were more funding. We need funding, and we need it big, right? Because the things that I'm putting out there are accurate. They're proving to be wildly accurate, actually. Sorry, there was some button that popped up on the screen. They're proving to be wildly accurate. Many people have prepared, and so they're going to go through the speed bumps no problem. But keep in mind, this is more than a speed bump. We all know that, those who have been preparing for years. This is a systemic reduction in global food supply. And what will that cause? Human osmotic pressure, the push and the pull of migration. So that's another shaping operation. You've seen the Darien Gap, which was opened, again, which we predicted very well in advance, that that's going to be a wide open corridor, and it ended up being so, right? That's why I spent so much time there with our Burning Edge team, Masako and Ann Vandersteel and so many others, Oscar Blue, Brett Weinstein, Chris Martinson, so many. We took 60 or 70 people down there, congressmen, and we put it on the map because we thought that would become a major corridor. That's a shaping operation. Now, keep in mind, I was talking with an ICE agent the other day, and they're not doing mass deportations from America, full stop, period. It's not happening. And all the people that have been doing the invasions to America, they're still operating. HIAS, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, IOM, Doctors Without Morals, Red Cross, Catholic Charities, Lutheran Services, all those guys, hundreds are still operating, fully operating, right? And in fact, when Masako and I recently flew in from Denmark back to Japan, we transited through Istanbul, Turkey, because we didn't want to go through the Gulf states, because I successfully predicted the time of the attack with great precision in writing and multiple times in writing. I don't know, 6 or 10 times, and on interviews. We were in Denmark at the Danish Strait, and I said, Masako, it's time to punch out of here, because otherwise I don't want to go through. Usually I like to fly Qatar Air or Emirates because they have really great airlines and their airports are great. I said, I'm not going to take you through there at this time. I would, if it were me alone, I would go, of course. But I didn't want to take Masako, so we took Turkish Air. We went through Istanbul, and there was IOM loading people up to Vancouver. They were loading a plane to Vancouver. They all had the IOM packets that you've seen me talk about before in the IOM blue tote bags. They have either white tote bags with blue writing, IOM, or blue tote bags with white writing, right? And there's the IOM lady there with her blue, or several with their blue. I put it on my X, actually, a video. Got their blue vest on and that sort of thing. They're still doing the invasion. All the corridors are still open. When these famines really kick in, and I just bet on it. If I'm wrong, then you'll just have a bunch of food. But if I'm right, which is, I would heavily bet on it, that you're going to see global famines. It's systemic. It is not going to be turned off. It's not like a season of locusts or something. They have systemically reduced the ability to produce the amount of food that we need to maintain the population that's out there. So you're going to have a lot of HOP, human osmotic pressure. That's another shaping operation that they're going to use to flood the rest of the countries. And I'm warning the Japanese. We got a team coming here tomorrow, a Japanese team that we're going to talk about. They're going to be sitting right here with us in our library. And, listen, I'm telling them straight up, this is what's happening and this is what's going to happen in Japan, right? They are, the beast is clearly, will be devastating to Japan. The beast that will then flood Japan, Camp of the Saints style, with huge numbers of people to destroy this country, right? Likewise with Thailand. I've warned the people in Thailand over and over and over. I love Thailand. I love Japan. And I love America. I'm American, right? At the end of the day, that's why I spend so much time in Texas. Texas is a main corridor coming through, as is Florida, as are all the states up on the Canadian border, right? Like New York and up in Washington State and Oregon and that sort of thing. Those are corridors where people are coming in, right? Not that Oregon's on the Canadian border, but a lot are coming through from the Canadian border, Michigan and that sort of thing. Keep in mind, the people that are coming in, like HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, they're bringing people in from Somalia and putting them in Minnesota. If you look up HIAS, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, HAIS, and you look up Minnesota and Somalis, you'll see during that recent violence, HIAS was openly helping the Somalis, because HIAS, that's part of the Greater Israel Project. That's been their idea since the 1800s. It's nothing new, but they've been working on it. And Israel recently, maybe 2 months ago, recognized Somaliland as a country, right? Even as they destroy other countries and say these are not countries or whatever, they're also creating other countries like Somaliland, right? But HIAS has been bringing people from Somaliland over to Minnesota and Seattle and other places. But Minnesota, you can see they've helped them get into positions of power there. You can probably think of a few, but if you look online and look at just HIAS and Somalis, you'll see HIAS is openly, they're in the news all the time, helping the Somalis get legal cover for the things that are going on and get into positions of power. And so that's actually Israel. That's, let's say, the Zionists that are doing it. And actually, I strongly think Israel itself is being targeted by the Zionists. I know that may sound counterintuitive, except for those people that are more deeply educated in what's going on. We can't talk about that now. It's just too much to talk about. But the Israelis also are in the way of the Zionist project. A lot of the Israelis are, like a lot of the Orthodox Jews, are way in the way. They hate the Zionists hate them, and they've been killing each other. I think the first person that Zionists ever assassinated was a Dutch Jew in the 1800s. I've forgotten his name. I need to look it up. But what was his name? Anyway, he didn't want, back in the 1800s, he saw what was going down, and he didn't want it to happen. He didn't want what's happening today to happen. And anyway, that earned him an assassination. So, the Zionists have been assassinating Jews since forever, Christians as well, of course, and Muslims, everybody, and other Zionists. They fight each other as well. It's a death cult, and which is a subject for another time. I need your support. Masako and I need your support. Please invest in us. Subscribe on Substack. If you can't, you can do it for free. It's no problem. You're going to get the same information. Or please sign up monthly, or you can send precious metals. Very few people do that, but if you wish to, I'll give you an address. But first, message to me, and I will give you an address to send it to, depending on what you're sending. But if you wish to donate precious metals, please do, because that's what some people have. Or Substack. Substack, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. All of those, you can mail checks in the mail to my P.O. box. All of those addresses are below on my Substack. So Substack, sign up for my X. The information you're getting here is 24 karat. It's turning out to be amazingly accurate. I do not foresee that this is just going to come to an amicable end, because this is about global depopulation. It's about destroying America, destroying Japan, destroying Thailand, destroying Australia, Kiwi land, Canada. All of Europe, of course, is set to be devastated. They already are, actually. And so, but it's clearly going to get much more, it's going to get more serious. And so continue to get prepared. I've helped some people offline individually. They want, hours of my time to talk, and I'm willing to work out a price for you to do that. If you want my ear uninterrupted and you want personalized advice, you're going to have to pay for it. I'm extremely busy. You may see the circles under my eyes. I love to get my sleep because it's so important. But if you want to help fund this and you want individualized, advice, it's going to be expensive because the time I spend talking with somebody on the phone is the time I'm not spending putting out videos like this. So it has to help fund the research because there's just too much going on. It's too important. We are in World War III, and it's game on. Otherwise, all these videos and that sort of stuff is all free, but I do need to fund the engine. Everybody needs gas, and actually everybody's going to need gas, and it's going to be at a higher price soon. All right, thanks, and please, again, subscribe. You don't have to pay if you don't want to, but if you can, do it. Mail checks, Gifts in Go, PayPal, all these ways. Precious metals, love them, whatever. Need them. We need them. We absolutely need them. We need a lot more funding than we have. As you can see, we don't have any sponsors, right? None. I've never had sponsors. Notice I don't do advertisement. I don't do any advertisement. I'm not out, advertising that thing, methylene blue or any of that stuff. I'm not advertising any of that stuff because I don't know what's in it. And I just can't put my name behind it because this information would then be always suspect. Who's behind that, right? And so the thing is the people who do donate generally do it in such low numbers or low amounts that it doesn't. If one person cuts me off, it doesn't matter. If the top 10 cut me off, it doesn't matter because the top 10 aren't that big. There's an occasional whale that comes through about once every 10 years, and that's about it. And they, what's interesting about the whales? The very occasional ones. The first one was maybe 2005, and I have never talked with one on the phone. They never ask. They don't want to talk on the phone. Sometimes we've messaged back and forth, and that's it. Mostly they just come in and write a check like $20,000 or something like that, which is a crazy amount for me, or sometimes more. And then generally they don't even want contact. It's uncommon. It's very uncommon. But of course, if you're in a big, if the different oligarchical systems are trying to buy you off, which they've tried for me for so much, especially back when I had a huge readership. One of the reasons my readership is so small now is because I haven't taken the money. And so, there's a cost with that. My message doesn't get out as far. So, but if I do take it, the message is suspect. And it's always going to be, I can't say what I really think and what my analysis really tells me unless it just happens to fit the agenda of the people footing the bill. But as soon as you have sponsors, then you're not in a position to ask for donations, right? Because if I have sponsors and I'm taking donations, well, people that are giving donations are going to go, why would I donate? You have sponsors. But then if I have sponsors, then I'm clearly going to be in a position to be bought because they can shut everything down. You're going to end up in some agreement and somehow, but at the bottom line, you're taking sponsorship, and I'm not harping on anybody who's taking sponsorship out there. I'm not at all. Almost everybody's show that I go on, I think maybe everybody's show I go on has sponsors. I might be the only one that doesn't actually. I don't know. There's probably, are there others? I don't know. I'll have to start paying closer attention. But in any case, I don't have any sponsors. I'm sure there's others that don't have. Actually, come to think of it, there are some I think that don't have sponsors at all. Like maybe I'm not going to say their names right now because if I'm wrong, I don't want to embarrass them. Let me check it out first. But anyway, I don't have any sponsors. Let's say you're my sponsor. Please subscribe financially, but you don't have to. Send a check in the mail, send precious metals. My email address is michael.yon@protonmail.com, michael.yon@protonmail.com. That's my private email address. Any abuse, I'll just block it immediately. Anything that's like starting to send me spam, I'm going to block it immediately. You wouldn't believe the people that I block, huge people whose names because they send me garbage and I don't have time for it. And so keep the channels clear. Like, this is combat. When you're on, the combat soldiers here, or the policemen or the firemen who deal with emergencies, keep the channels clear. Only communicate important stuff, and then make it succinct, right? Really short sentences, very clear. What do you want? And then we'll take it from there. If you want personalized advice, it's going to be expensive, and you can help fund this operation. All right. But I've helped a lot of people in some very serious situations. Actually, usually that's been for free because it's been life or death. But actually, in almost every case, it's been for free. But more lately, people that actually have money have said, hey, I'll pay you X for, 30 minutes of conversation because I need to be able to get through this. There's people having problems getting out of the Middle East, and I've helped most of them for free. But the ones with money, I'm like, sure, I'll take it. Send me the money. And anyway, we'll get on the phone, and they end up always getting more than their money worth, because actually one fella I've been helping, he should be getting out today with his family. So anyway, all right, talk with y'all later. Thanks for everything.